Shalom, shalom. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'Shem Yahushai, Ba'Shem HaKadosh. I want to give double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who taught us his truth in the spirit and power of Yahweh, Ba'Shem Yahushai. I'm Shaquat, back with another lesson. Lord willing, it's edifying to the hopeful elect. Yahweh, Ba'Shem Yahushai, Barakatham, to you sincere, Akyam, Wagwath. And a sincere shalom to you brothers out pushing his truth out on the highways and the byways and through the YouTube lessons, man. Shalom to you all. Lord willing, this is edifying. I don't know why the audio was cut out. It just was recording this audio cut out for some reason. I have no idea why. But the water to the brother for letting me know. But so as you see by the title of the lesson, let's go back over here to the notes. The Chariots of Israel, signs of deliverance and judgment. And we're just going to touch upon the notes that we didn't get. All right, so make sure it's on. All right, there we go. So I did read this whole chapter almost, but I'm just going to go straight to the point. If you read up, it's talking about the angels. All right, but I just want to jump straight into the point concerning the chariots. And the wheel sparkled as if made of bill, turning crosswise within it. Giving you a depiction of the chariots, man. All right, which is so-called UFOs and UAPs, but they're really IAPs and IFOs because we identified them already. It's identifiable through the scriptures. The beings could move in any of the four directions they faced without turning as they moved. The rims of the four wheels were tall and frightening, a wheel within a wheel. Right? Fuck you, Satan. A wheel within a wheel, right? As you can see, you got more depictions of the eyes, right? A flying saucer. Okay, so there you have it. You keep going. When the living beings moved, it's talking about the angels, the wheels moved with them. What wheels? The chariots, right? So when they flew upward, the wheels went up too. All right, so the chariots was basically following the angels. The spirit of the living beings was in the wheels. The wheels and the living beings also went. When the beings moved, the wheels moved. When the beings stopped, the wheels stopped. When the beings flew upward, the wheels rose up. For the spirit of the living beings was in the wheels. All right. And let me see. I think that's the vehicles of the Lord, which are chariots. They have spirits of their own. All right. It's actually alive. It's literally alive. Somebody cannot be in the chariot controlling it, and it could still fly. It's a spirit of its own. You understand? So there you have it. So let's go back over here. All right. Let's go to Zechariah 6 and 5. But a specific reason I wanted to go into this. Forgive me, I set this up a while back. It'll come back to me. It's talking about, all right, the flying scroll. And it says, then I turned and lifted up mine eyes and looked, and behold, a flying roll. All right, so that's the best way Zechariah could depict what he saw at the time, which was a chariot of the Lord. All right, a so-called UFO. And he said, all right, and it literally looks like a flying roll. Okay, look at this. Flying roll. All right. Let me see if I can get another picture that's far away. Look at that, a flying roll. All right, you ever seen a roll of bread? Yeah. Let's see if I can get another picture that's like at a distance. Look at this one. All right, look at this one. Look at this one. You can't make this shit up, man. Anyway, It says, and he said unto me, what seest thou? And I answered, I see a flying roll. The length thereof is 20 cubits, and the breadth thereof is 10 cubits. Then said he unto me, this is the curse that goeth forth over the face of the whole earth. For everyone that stealeth shall be cut off as on this side according to it, and everyone that sweareth shall be cut off as on that side according to it. All right, so these are the chariots is set here for salvation. That goes back to the title of the lesson. Okay. Goes back to the title of the lesson, the chariots of Israel, signs of deliverance and judgment. All right, so we went into most of the deliverance scriptures in the first part, right? But it's also a sign of judgment. That's why it says the curse that goeth forth over the face of the whole earth. Because they're going to bring judgment. They're going to add on to the fire. All right. So there you have it. I'm going to go to 2 Kings. Let me see. Because I'm just really trying to just complete the verses that I didn't go over. So let me think. 2 Kings 2, which that's going to be concerning Elijah getting taken up into a chariot. All right, so let's go to that. Elijah taken to heaven, 2 Kings chapter 2 and verse 1. And it came to pass when the Lord would take up Elijah into heaven by a whirlwind, a chariot, that Elijah went with Elisha from Gilgal. And Elijah said unto Elisha, tarry here, I pray thee, for the Lord hath sent me to Bethel. And Elisha said unto him, as the Lord liveth, and as thy soul liveth, I will not leave thee. So they went down to Bethel. And the sons of the prophets that were at Bethel came forth to Elisha, and said unto him, knowest thou that the Lord will take away thy master from thy head today? And he said, yea, I know it. Hold your peace. And Elijah said unto him, Elisha, tarry here, I pray thee, for the Lord hath sent me to Jericho. And he said, as the Lord liveth, and as thy soul liveth, I will not leave thee. So they came to Jericho. And the sons of the prophets that were at Jericho came to Elisha and said unto him, knowest thou that the Lord will take away thy master from thy head today? They were like, you know the Lord finna take your master away today. And he answered, yeah, I know it. Hold ye your peace. And Elijah said unto him, tarry, I pray thee here, for the Lord hath sent me to Jordan. And he said, as the Lord liveth, and as thy soul liveth, I will not leave thee. And they two went on. And 50 men, let's skip down. Verse 10, skipping down to 10. And he said, thou hast asked a hard thing. Nevertheless, if thou see me when I am taken from thee, it shall be so unto thee. But if not, it shall not be so. And it came to pass, as they still went on and talked, that behold, there appeared a chariot of fire, the horses of fire, and parted them both asunder. And Elijah went up by a whirlwind into heaven. So he got beamed up into a chariot. When Elisha saw it, and he cried, my father, the chariot of Israel. So this ain't no regular chariot. And the horsemen thereof, all right, talking about the angels. And he saw him no more, and he took hold of his own clothes and rent them in two pieces. All right, so that was just the point over that, right? That was the point. Elijah getting taken up into heaven by what? A chariot. And that's how the elect are going to be saved. All right, let's get another precept concerning salvation to the elect. Let's go to Wisdom of Solomon 5. Start at verse 1. It says, then shall the righteous man stand in great boldness. All right, the men of the Lord were standing in great boldness right about now. The water Yahweh by Shemel Shah putting the spirit on us to do so. Right? Before the faces such as have afflicted him. Who afflicted us? The Edomites, man. And then also the heathens. All right, but the chief people who afflicted us were the Edomites. And now they're afraid. Now the niggas are afraid. And it's going to say that in verse 2. and made no account of his labors. Nobody make account of our labors. And every time we do something, Esau is taking credit for it. Esau is taking credit for everything we do. All right. And we the inventors, man. We the creators. In the book of Jeremiah, the 51st chapter, I want to say, it says Jacob is the former of all things. And it's somewhere else in Jeremiah. It says it twice in Jeremiah that Jacob is the former of all things. So you can't make this up. We form and create everything, but we don't ever get credit for our labors. Hell, we asked this nigga to pay us what we deserve, to just give us our, give us money, whatever the fuck. And the devil act like we're wrong for asking of it, for asking what we deserve rightfully. It's insane. Anyway, when they see it, they shall be troubled with terrible fear. And these elites, they're afraid. Regular heathens are getting nervous too, but the elites who really know what it is and what's going on, they're afraid. All right, that it also states that back in Revelation 11. I brought that on the first part. The elites are afraid, man. That's why they're constantly praying on our downfall. Right, when you go to Revelation 12, they're constantly praying on our downfall. 24/7, they're accusing us because they're afraid. And it says, and shall be amazed at the strangeness of his salvation. So everybody going to see the salvation, man. And they're going to be amazed at the strangeness of our salvation because we're going to be taken into ships. All right, spaceships. So far beyond all that they look for. So some they would never have thought would happen. They're going to see it. They only see things like this in movies. But the Lord's about to show them that it's reality. All right, so let's go to the next one. Let's go to Daniel 2:44. Right, it mentions a chariot there as well concerning Yahushua. It says the divine kingdom, and in the days of these kings shall the power of heaven set up a kingdom, which shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom shall not be left to other people. So the kingdom's never going to fail. It's going to be forever once it's established. It's never going to go down. All right. And it's not going to be left to the heathens. All right. So for everybody saying, oh, the heathens are going to inherit the kingdom. No, only the Israelites are going to inherit the kingdom. But the heathens will be there. We got to have slaves. We got to have servants and slaves and all that. And it says, and the kingdom shall not be left to other people, but it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever. All right. And then it says, for as much as thou sawest that the stone was cut out of the mountain without hands, all right, and it break in peace the iron, which is talking about Yahushua doing this, the clay, the silver. Let me see then. I don't want to get this now. Yeah, I'm thinking of something else. I said, forgive me. I put this together a while back, so some of these scriptures ain't even necessary. But I would like to close it with this though. 1 Corinthians 15. Yeah, that's talking about Yahushua right there. So let's close it with this on going into what's going to happen when we do get risen up into chariots. All right. Let's go into what's going to happen here. Let's go all the way down here. We're going to start at verse 50. 1 Corinthians 15:50. Now this I say, brethren, that flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of the Most High, neither doth corruption inherit incorruption. All right, so these vain, nasty, disgusting, weak bodies that we're in right now, it's not going to make it into a chariot. Think about it. Think about how quick chariots move. What were we just reading back in Ezekiel chapter 1? How the chariots, they don't even have to turn and face a direction to move. It could just move, fluidly. It don't matter. It don't have to turn, none of that shit. It can just move forward, back, side, don't matter. Right? And it's fast as fuck. Can stop on a dime. It could just be going and just turn directions, and just hella quick, go a different direction. One fluid motion. No need to stop and then, how you in the car. None of that. You think our bodies can survive that? These weak bodies? Absolutely not. So flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom. This weak flesh cannot inherit the kingdom. All right. And his body is so tainted. Not even just for that matter. The body is so tainted, man. All right. We're going to get new bodies, perfect bodies. All right. Unblemished. All right. So anyway, Behold, I shew you a mystery. We shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed. In a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump, who's the president? No, I'm talking shit, but you never know. That could go together. You know, it's never a dull moment when Yahweh Shemi Shai, how he sets things up. For the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed. All right, the dead, remember the dead bodies lying in the great city in Revelation 11:8, right? So now this weak flesh is going to be changed and made incorruptible. We're going to put on incorruptible flesh, all right? Because this body, it sucks. It's dead. That's why it says in the dead. What did Apostle Paul say? Who shall deliver me from this body of death? This is just a body of death. That's why it's considered the dead. We're going to get lively bodies soon. And that's going to happen when we get taken into the ships. And we shall be changed. All right, so when we're getting beamed up, we're going to be getting changed. For this corruptible must put on incorruption, and this mortal must put on immortality. So when this corruptible shall have put on incorruption, and this mortal shall have put on immortality, then shall be brought to pass the saying that is written, death is swallowed up in victory. Just like our big brother won and he beat death, we're going to do the same. Lord willing, we be of that number. Now I have a question. Given that we're going to go in these chariots and incorruptible, the corruptible flesh, this dead flesh, this vile flesh can't inherit or make it onto a ship. That's why we have to be changed. So to Heckle and Jekyll, as the Apostle Gabar always say, to those stupid Genesis Israelites, riddle us this. So are you saying that the heathens are going to get their bodies changed too? Because how are they going to get onto the chariots? How are they going to make it? So are you saying that the heathens are also going to get incorruptible bodies? They're also going to become immortal? Because y'all are saying the heathens are going to be saved. So if they can be saved, that means they're going to be on the chariot. So are they going to get incorruptible bodies and be immortal? That's the question of the day. It's a stupid doctrine. It says, O death, where is thy sting? O grave, where is thy victory? The sting of death is sin. The sting of death is sin. What does it say in I forgot where it said that. Let me do this. First of all, it says the sting. It's not chapter 1. Oh, here. 1 John 3:4. Whosoever committeth sin transgresseth also the law. For sin is the transgression of the law. So now we know what sin is. Sin is when you transgress the law of the Lord, when you go against the law of the Lord. All right. So what is sin? What does it lead to? Romans 6:23. For the wages of sin is death, but the gift of power is eternal life through Yahweh Shai HaMashiach, our Lord. Right, so the wages of sin is death. So when you go back to 1 Corinthians 15, okay, you go down to the point. Back here in verse 55, it says, O death, where is thy, no, it's like in verse 56, the sting of death is sin. So sin, the wages of sin is death. All sin leads to is death. That's why we're not going to die in the kingdom as Israelites, because under the new covenant, Hebrews 8, Jeremiah 31, all right, the laws are going to be placed on our inward part. We're going to be one with the law. So we aren't going to commit any sins. And if you can't sin, guess what? You can't die. All right. And it says, and the strength of sin is the law. All right. The strength of sin is the law. Meaning, what makes sin so strong is if you can't keep the law. If you can't keep the law, that gives sin power, because sin is transgression of the law, as we just brought out in 1 John. Anyway, it says, but thanks be to power. Hold on. It was saying we're going to put off these dead bodies, and we're now seeing that the sting of death is sin, right? So once again, Heckle and Jekyll, Hakah and Hassad, riddle us this, man. So the heathens are entering into the kingdom with dead bodies. They're going to enter into the chariots, is what I'm asking. The chariots with dead bodies, because they're going to be in the kingdom. But I'm talking about the chariots. They're going to be brought onto the chariot with bodies of death. I'm basically asking the same question I asked earlier, just in a different way. Is this stupid, man? At the end of the day, it's very stupid. Anyway, but thanks be to power, which giveth us the victory through our Lord Yahushua HaMashiach. Therefore, my beloved brethren, be ye steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord, for as much as ye know that your labor is not in vain in the Lord. All right, so there you have it. That's all I want to touch upon, really, concerning that. It wasn't supposed to be too long of a lesson. I already hit the real potent scriptures in the last one. So, Lord willing, this quick one was edifying to you all out there. I want to end it off by giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Akakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who have taught us His truth in the spirit and power, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. And until next time, Abba Bo, Kwam Yasharallah, Gadol Abadium, Lababal, Hagadol, Yahweh Mahar, Wa Habatham. And until next time.